Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian Shield. My name is Sterling, and I'm your host. Today, Fraser made a housing announcement, and I think there was a reason for that. There was an ulterior motive to do it. And some of the things that he announced in this was just he said that we're going to be doing more tomorrow, but what he announced today was very important somehow. Now, I don't know why he would elect to announce part of it on some days and part of it on others, and I don't know why he would elect to do that over Zoom. I think the federal government uses. What I do know is that only one reporter asked a question and only two showed up, and the other one left halfway through the announcement. So that's kind of an indication of just how far down how far down these guys have fallen. I think the people are just tired of hearing the same old from the Liberal government over every single solitary crisis that the country is having. The Liberals are always like, well, we're going to announce something, we're going to fix them. Like, I don't know what it is that they just can't solve a problem, but they don't seem to be able to solve any of the problems that are coming before. I mean, they've been talking about doing this housing stuff since before the summer break. And then they said everything is going to be peachy keen in September. And now we're creeping up on May. I mean, we are almost through the entire year, and I don't think they got a single solitary house started. I don't think they got a single solitary one. I think they've just been running around and creating government agencies that are going to somehow give you something to apply to. I don't think that they are doing anything beyond that, making promises. Now, there's a lot of promises that were put here in this little one, but you got to listen to what he's actually saying. But before we get into it, I would encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and tell all your friends. Now, I'm trying, many of you know, that I'm only new at this YouTube stuff, so I keep trying to make juggling. But I just think that I'm just going to go back to whatever feels right, and if you don't like it, then there's nothing I can do about that. And I would say that every second that you watch a channel like mine is basically telling the Liberal Party how you feel about them. Because my channel might not necessarily be anti-liberal, but it's absolutely you're doing a bad job. So tell all your friends, share it with your friends, encourage them to watch it, because I am absolutely certain that I'm being turned down in the algorithm. Let's do this.
We've previously moved forward with the first home savings account, which allows a tax-free savings opportunity, both tax-free in and tax-free out. And we've now seen more than 750,000 Canadians, disproportionately young Canadians, have signed up for this tax-free savings opportunity towards the purchase of that first home by putting money away for a down payment. Today, we've announced additional support to help with that down payment, including changes to the home buyers plan. This is a program that allows Canadians to withdraw savings from their RRSP to go towards the purchase of their first home. Specifically, the changes include an increase of the limit of a withdrawal from your RRSP from $35,000 to $60,000, making it easier for Canadians to save up for a down payment. In addition, we're extending the grace period during which no repayment is required from 2 years to 5 years. That will make it easier for Canadians to save up for their down payment. Specifically, we're going to be increasing the amortization period for first-time home buyers from 25 to 30 years for those who are purchasing a new home.
So hear what he said there. He said that there's a $40,000 account that you can put towards buying your first home. Then these same young people are going to be able to take out $60,000 of their RSP that they will not have to pay taxes on until 5 years has passed. If you don't put the money back within 5 years, if you don't start making your payment within 5 years, you will face a severe penalty. Now, if you're out there thinking that this is going to be an amazing deal, just remember something, that when you buy your first home, there are a lot of hidden costs. There are a lot of things. It's a lot of furniture. There's a lot of expenses. There's not a single solitary person who's living in the middle or the middle lower classes that buy a house in the first 5 years of their negotiated contract, like the first 5-year mortgage, that doesn't struggle and doesn't rob from Peter to pay Paul. To think to yourself that you're going to be at the same time paying back a $60,000 RSP, which is essentially a loan that you borrowed from yourself, right? You took the RSP and you give it to the bank, and he runs around on the stock market making all kinds of money. Now the federal government is going to say, well, you can have that 60 G's out if you make sure that if you begin to pay it back within 5 years. But the second that 5 years comes up, it's just like when you borrow money from the store. The interest is going to kick in initially, right away. It's not going to wait. It's not going to say they're going to give you that 5 year grace period and is that it over? So now you really are basically trying to pay back 12 grand a year so that you don't get dinged on costs and hidden fees, which is everybody knows is the nature of the game when it comes to borrowing money. What is also interesting is that he said they're going to extend the amortization to 30 years, which is now a 30-year mortgage will be standard for a first-time home buyer who's buying a new house. You can't buy your mom's house. You can't buy your parents' house. If you buy your parents' house, none of what he just talked about applies to you. You have to only be buying a new house. You have to be only buying a house that the Liberal government has decided they're going to force onto the various provinces and that you are going to now fit into their bureaucracy. You are going to be the one that is giving them the interest payments. And remember, today the bank announced that they're still holding at 5%. So how long do you got to wait for that 5% to come back down to zero? It took a long time to get to zero. It held at 3 for many years. And so you think to yourself that he's offering you something, but really all he's saying is you got to save up 100 grand and you have to buy a new house and you have to be a first-time home buyer. And no problem at all, we'll give you a brand new house, which will be attached to somebody else's brand new house. If you're lucky, only one other house. Otherwise, it could be a townhouse. Now, as I told you, only one reporter showed up. Well, 2 reporters showed up, but one left halfway through. You can see up in the corner where there's a little 3. That she just left halfway through the other reporter. So there's one question that I'll let answer.
That part of the thinking with when the former Conservative government reduced the amortization, maximum amortization period to 25 years was the high indebtedness of Canadians. And I think a report from StatsCan from last month said that in 2021, Canadian household debt was around 180% based on income, which is one of the highest among developed countries.
180% based on income and the highest among developed countries. It's not one of the highest. It is the highest. Canadians carry more household debt than any other country in the G7. You don't hear Freeland saying that. 180% means that you owe 80% more than you ever earn.
Look, that's certainly a very important issue, and I don't want to diminish the significance of household debt that exists in Canada. But keep in mind that this policy change is not happening in isolation. The combined impact of the first home savings account, which a person can save up to $40,000 tax-free, both again tax-free in and tax-free out, in addition to the tax-free savings to the RRSP that will represent significant savings, has the potential to offset potential increased borrowing that may take place as a result of more people being able to qualify for a mortgage with monthly payments that they can actually afford. We're focused on making sure that we're looking across the continuum of a person's transition towards home ownership, that we can reduce the overall financial burden on the household. We believe that the changes today, when considered in their totality rather than looking at any one specific pillar, are going to allow more Canadians to get into the housing market, but importantly, to your point, at prices that they're actually going to be able to afford, both in the short term and over the course of the mortgage that they hold. Keep in mind again that when you're dealing with first-time home buyers, disproportionately you're dealing with people who are earlier in their career, and by extending the amortization to 30 years, most people are going to be still within their working life and able to manage those expenses. But when you factor in the significant tax savings that first-time home buyers will benefit from, when you consider both the first home savings account and now the changes to the home buyers program, we believe we can protect against the overall increase to household debt. At the same time, we bring down the monthly cost of a mortgage and encourage people to save up for that down payment.
Now, I got to tell you, I'm so sick and tired of the Liberal government telling me that they're going to solve all these problems that they created in one shot. I mean, I can't handle it anymore. It's every time I turn around, we're going to do this as well as this at the same time as this is going to be. Now, if you were sitting there listening to somebody tell you that that's their problem-solving approach, would you believe them? If you heard somebody say, well, we don't think that you should look at the individual pillars. We just figure the whole thing will stand up even if one of these pillars falls down, the rest of it will hold its ground. I don't agree with him. I think that what you're talking about is that you can save up to 40 grand and now you can take $60,000 out of your RSPs, which is weird that you can only save 40 grand, but you can take back from your RSP 60 Gs. And then at the same time, you're going to be able to do that because you're a young person. So what he wants me to believe is that two young people who might not have any who have 40 G's and 60 G's respectively are going to be able to pull that money out, buy the house, get started on a family, pay for their car payments, pay for all of the houses, the expenses of the house, as well as extend the mortgage for 30 years and then pay back that 60 G's. Don't forget, you got to pay that back before the taxes kick in and you get penalized, not just taxed, but you get penalized for, there's other penalties for not just paying it back. In addition to that, he wants you to extend your mortgage out an additional 5 years that currently you would be paying 5% interest on. So now he wants you to take this 30-year mortgage that's 5 years longer than any generation before you, with your household debt, taking out all of your savings while you are young enough to pay it off in their working life, which means that at the most, he wants you to be 35 years old, because then you can be 65. So you got to be 35 years old before you decide to have a family, or you've already started a family and now you're going to try and pay for your family while you're moving into your house. And so I'm not telling you that it's not capable of doing it. I'm just saying that the more you think about it, the less likely it is that you're going to achieve it when you consider the way the current Canada is, the way the money is currently laid out at 180% of debt, and the fact that already your mortgages are taking your rents are taking so much money. Car insurance, gas prices, food prices. The amount of the level of job that you have to be possessing, and I get that maybe your parents can kick in 40 G's and all that kind of stuff. That's not what I mean. I'm just talking about, two people who are going to move, who are going to buy a house together, who are doing it all on their own. Now you want me to think that they got all this money just kicking around. That's what he wants us to think. And why did he make this announcement today? And why is it that not one press showed up? Two showed up, like I said, one left. Whatever they had to do, they probably just closed their laptop because it was a Zoom meeting. Now, why would he want to make this announcement under so much, like with no scrutiny? There's something to that doesn't make any sense to me. That kind of makes me wonder what they're trying to hide. But I can tell you, based on what I've just described to you, that this is not a deal at all. This is just more indebtedness. This is just pay. And we're capping your down payment at $100,000, and you're only eligible for these things, don't forget, if you're buying a new home. So now you're buying the newest houses out there with their high density at the most that they can charge you. And you're giving the bank all of this possibility to get interest off you for an extra 5 years and to penalize you for not repaying your RSP fast enough. I think that it would be better to just say we are knocking the price of houses down. We are destroying the bubble that is Toronto. We are destroying the housing bubble. We don't care how much money the banks lose. And we're just going to start building houses like nobody's business. We're going to bring in the army to build houses. We're going to bring in, whatever. It doesn't matter. What my point is that they just need to start throwing up houses faster than they can be sold. And then $100,000 might be a real substantial down payment. Right now, $100,000 is not going to be much. First-time home buyers need 5%. So, all right, I'm going to wrap here. I want to thank you all for listening. I would appreciate it if you would like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and tell all your friends. I'll talk to you next time.